Hi there, welcome to today's painting tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how you can paint a snail with acrylic paints. So let's get started. And I'm going to start with a size 0 round brush. If you want to paint along with me, grab the sketch linked in the description below. Let's start with some of this burnt umber color and start off by putting a little circle around the antenna and then sort of come down along the edge. Then I'm going to come along this back edge here. Then I'm going to pick up this light gray, put that in the center, sort of mix it around a little bit, blend it, and then start bringing that gray paint down. Let's go with this side. And then let's put a little bit of a highlight so we could pick up some white paint. A little bit more. We'll put that sort of on the left side. And this one we'll put it on the right. Okay, so I'm going to pick up the burnt umber again. Start going around this area of the head. And I'm also going to pick up some black and put some of that black along the edge just to get a little bit more contrast. And then I'm going to take the light gray paint and start putting that in as well. And then towards this center area, we want it to be lighter, so pick up some white paint and go ahead and put the white paint a little bit closer into the center. Okay, I'm going to clean up this edge right here. Got a little bit too far out. Okay, so now let's do this little area here. So I'm going to take some burnt umber and put that along the edge, and then pick up some beige paint, sort of feather that down. Then I want it to be lighter, so I'm going to pick up some white and put a little bit of that in the center. Okay, so now let's start coming down this way, and I think I'll switch brushes. So let's switch to a size 4 filbert brush. And I'm going to bring, let's put some of the burnt umber along the bottom. And then I'm going to take some beige paint and I'm going to put that at the sort of at the bottom to be almost like the feet. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to that burnt umber, start bringing that down. Okay, and then pick up the light gray. And I'm going to start coming down with the light gray. And then in the center of the body, I want it to be a little bit lighter, so I'm going to pick up the white and add that in. Okay, I'm going to take this dark brown color and continue along the outline of the snail's body, and then pick up that light gray and then add some white into the center of the tail. And we'll add a little bit more white. And then I'm going to blend that. And then I'm going to pick up some black, and let's put the black along this edge just to create a little bit more of a shadow where that shell is going to be. And then switch back to a size 0 round brush, pick up some black paint. And then let's make a little line right here. And then you can add some little sections along that bottom. They're just sort of little rectangular shapes. And put those along the edge. And then we want to add some lighter texture. So I can take some beige paint and let's put some little dots along this area. And then I'm going to put some little dots around the head area with the beige. We're just starting to make this texture. And then pick up some white paint. And see if you can add the white sort of as a highlight, but you want it to be just these little sections. So just each little brush stroke can sort of make that texture. And we can get bigger as we go into this area here. And then put some along the tail. And then you can add just a little stippling down in this section. We're just trying to get some texture. Okay, and if you wanted to bring back some shadow, we can add some of this burnt umber and sort of go around some of these white areas. Just sort of outline around the white spaces that you made. And this can just give a little bit more texture to the body. Some more contrast. Okay, so now let's work on the shell area. And let's start by taking some of the burnt umber and mix it with some black. And you want to go around the sketch. So I'm gonna go along that spiral with some black paint. So you want to have enough water on the brush so that you can get pretty thin line. We want a nice black lines to act as a base for this. And try to go on top of the sketch as close as you can. Okay, so now let's take some of this burnt umber and sort of go around the outside edge of this shell. And I want to add a little bit of shadow in each section. Then I'm going to pick up the burnt sienna. And then sort of come in with that burnt sienna. And then we want to get lighter, so we can pick up some beige. Try to put that in the center area. Okay, so let's do that same pattern. So we'll have the dark brown and then the lighter brown. And then we'll put the beige into the center. Okay, we'll take that burnt umber and go on around that section. Then the burnt sienna. And then you could pick up the beige paint and put that in the center. Okay, so I'm going to continue with that pattern. I'm taking this and follow the sketch, so you have these little stripes here. And we'll come around the top to get a little more water on the brush. Then let's pick up the burnt sienna, put that in the center. And then while it's still wet, pick up the beige and feather that in. Okay, I'm going back to the burnt umber. And then the sienna. And then the beige. Okay, so now I'm going to take the burnt sienna and go around this center area. And then around that, I'm going to take the beige and then put that next to that burnt sienna and allow it to blend. Pick up some more beige. I might add a little bit of white there, just to make it come forward in space. Then I'm going to continue with that same pattern. So let's put some of the burnt sienna. You can put it on either side. And then pick up some beige and feather that in. Okay, now I'm going to take some of the burnt umber and start putting that in. So I'm going around that little section. Then I'm going to take the burnt sienna, add that in. Okay, and then if I want that to have a little more texture, I can take this beige paint and you can sort of go in sort of a striped pattern. Start putting that in. Okay, so same pattern for this section. I'm going to take the dark brown, try to go around the outside edge. And then pick up that burnt sienna, really warm brown, and allow it to mix in. And then take some beige paint and start putting in a highlight there. Okay, and now I have this section, and I'm going to do that same idea for this section here. Let's put some over some of that white of the paper. So we'll go around the outside edge. Okay, I'm going to rinse off the brush. And then let's put the burnt sienna into the center. And then I'll take some light beige paint and then put that into that center there. Okay, so at this point you should have all of the shell and the snail painted. So let's go back with some black paint. Need to add a little water so this paint can flow a little easier. So I want to go back and reinstate some of this dark black color and cover up some of the whites of the paper. So any place that has a little bit of white of the paper showing through, I'm going to go back and just add another layer of black. Okay, and then let's take some of the dark brown, that burnt umber, and then go back with that and sort of again clean up some edges. Okay, so now let's go back and just put in some final highlights. And for that, we also want to use some of this yellow paint. So this is a pastel yellow. And let's see if we can put some of this in some strategic places to create a little bit of a highlight and some interest in the piece. Sort of little lines and dashes, little stripes. I'm just using the tip of the brush. Okay, I might put some in maybe over here. Little lines and highlights. Okay, and then maybe around the body, we might come back. We put some little white lines down here. Maybe add a few more highlights. Bring out some of that texture around the head area. Just stippling with the white. Okay, and that is how you can paint a snail with acrylic paints. I hope you give this a try. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to dive deeper into acrylic painting, check out the resources guide. There you will find my complete acrylic painting course. And we will see you in the next video. Bye.